A lot of people, when they hear the word narcissist, the first thing they think is, oh, that's a person who looks in the mirror all the time, or that's a person who's totally vain, or that's a person who's all self-focused, la, la, la. Well, as you and I both know, there's a lot more to it than that. Certainly, these can be characteristics of someone who has a narcissistic personality issue, but it goes so much deeper than just that. When I'm talking about a narcissist, I'm talking about someone who demonstrates certain tendencies: the lack of empathy, the sense of entitlement, the grandiosity, the just general arrogance, the thinking they're better than everyone. I could go on and on, but the point is, a narcissist isn't just someone who takes a lot of selfies. And when we're talking about a toxic narcissist or a toxic person in general, we're talking about someone who basically doesn't have any empathy and who essentially acts from that perspective. They treat people like they don't care how they feel because they don't care how they feel. So that's what we're talking about today at queenbeing.com. Things that narcissists really don't want you to know and why. Number one, how they feel on the inside. While narcissists are really good at putting on a show that they're so confident and happy and their life is so great, on the inside, many of them feel empty. They feel like they're alone, like they have nothing to offer, and so they have to sort of pull up this bravado or this sort of made-up mask of a personality in order to get people to want to stay near them and like them and etc. And very often they feel abandoned, and they in fact live in the fear of abandonment. Number two, you may not know that narcissists have very often experienced some sort of trouble in their childhood. Something traumatic has happened to them, and very often it's similar to something that may have happened to you. Very often they either try to ignore it and pretend it never happened, or they go the other way and they use it as a crutch or a way to gain sympathy and attention from other people. They will also do their very best to make the pain of it kind of go away by any means necessary. And this means very often using you as a source of supply and as a way to sort of dump their emotional garbage. Getting the narcissistic supply they need, it helps them sort of feel better about themselves, and it also gives them almost a distraction from the stuff that's going on in their head. And they become almost obsessed with the need to get your attention and your time, but also you're never going to be enough for them. It's this ongoing cycle. Which kind of brings me to number three. The narcissist secretly envies you for a lot of different things. This might be the fact that you feel, or at least when they met you, you were kind of confident in who you were. Or maybe they envy you because people are always sort of showing up next to you at parties. I know I used to experience that, where people would want to talk to me at parties and my narcissist would be angry and annoyed that people wanted to talk to me and not that person. They might be jealous of your light as an empath, and your kindness or your compassion or anything. Number four, while narcissists very often demand unconditional trust from you, like blind trust, they very rarely offer you the same kindness. In fact, they will blatantly distrust you even when you have proven repeatedly over and over again to be trustworthy. And yet, even when they prove over and over again to be not trustworthy, they become irate if you choose not to trust them blindly. Have you ever experienced that? Number five, narcissists don't want you to know that they are literally analyzing everything you're doing 24/7. When it's convenient for them, when you first meet them, they are cataloging the stories that you're telling them. When you go into a relationship on a deeper level with them, they are most definitely using anything you can say to analyze and figure you out so they know which buttons to push and how hard to push them to get you to kind of feel crazy or to submit to their will, whatever that is. They literally analyze everything about you, including what you're eating, what you're wearing, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you think, the way you speak, what you like, what you don't like, everything. Number six, narcissists only feel as good as they do in the moment about themselves. And what I mean is their self-worth is conditional. We know that most narcissists seem very confident. Some studies tell us that there are narcissists out there who actually are that self-confident. But in most cases, narcissists are only self-confident under certain circumstances. So if a narcissist is thinking, hey, I feel really good about myself right now, what that really means is that they feel good about themselves if they feel like they're better than you, or they feel good about themselves if you agree with what they're saying, or they feel good about themselves if you show them that you're putting them up on a pedestal, or they feel good about themselves if you worship them. You get the point. But if none of those things are true and nobody's there giving them narcissistic supply, they'll crash. And that is definitely something they don't want you to know. Now, let me just add a little disclaimer here. All of us want to feel good about ourselves. It's not just narcissists. The difference is the way that we perceive ourselves versus the way they perceive themselves. See, for a healthy person, and I'm not saying we're all healthy people, but for a normal person, it's about being the best you that you can be. Now, we're all human and we all compare ourselves to other people, but if we're being honest, the best way to feel good about yourself is to completely accept yourself and be okay with the fact that you're not perfect and you have flaws, and be okay with the fact that, maybe this girl over here is better than you at playing the piano, but you're better than those people over there still, or whatever it is. You can't compete against other people in a healthy way on that personal level. You have to compete with yourself, if that makes any sense. Get better than you were yesterday in whatever way that you can. The difference is a narcissist will continue to compare themselves to other people, and if they feel superior to, better than, whatever, then they feel good about themselves. It's just like when a narcissist takes you out to their favorite restaurant and let's say you don't like the food and they get offended by that. And they, I can't believe you don't like it. Or even if they cook you some food and you can't eat it because you're allergic to blueberries or whatever it is, and they attack you for it. Well, when that happens, what they're doing is bullying you into submission so that you will agree with their opinion about the restaurant or the blueberries or whatever it is. They are personalizing your dislike of the restaurant or the blueberries as some sort of attack on their own self. And so this is their little small ego popping out, and it's narcissistic injury that happens. Obviously, it's not their restaurant and they didn't grow the blueberries, but yet they feel somehow inclined to be offended that you don't share the same opinion. Which brings me to point number 7. A narcissist can never get enough supply and validation. Point being, while they need to feel like they're better than everybody in order to have any self-esteem, they need to feel like they can compare themselves to someone else in order to feel good or feel better than that person. And then to feel good as a result of that, they literally need a constant supply of validation along with that. You can't just compliment them once and expect them to be okay with that. It doesn't work that way with a narcissist. They need a constant stream. And that's why a lot of narcissists will cheat on you if you are in a romantic relationship with them, or they will have a large group of admirers or harem around them. It's not like winning once will make a narcissist happy. They need to win everything, or they live in a perpetual state of feeling not good enough. And this is a whole snowball effect that unfortunately negatively affects the narcissistic supply, or you and me. Number 8, narcissists make up their own rules. And the rules are flexible and variable. And sometimes the rules apply to them and sometimes the rules don't apply to them. But the rules always apply to you, and they can change at any given moment. And whether the narcissist explained the rules to you or not, you better follow them. Why is this? Well, just like when a narcissist gets upset with you for not liking blueberries or their favorite restaurant, the narcissist feels that your lack of compliance to their imaginary rules, which are, of course, in their minds, it's set in complete stone, well, then you must also not think enough of them to follow the rules, or you must think less of them than you should, or it's a personal thing you're doing to them somehow. It's a slight. One example of this is when I was in high school and I snuck out with my best friend for the night. I shouldn't have done it. It was a wrong choice. But I remember my parents saying to me, "Why would you do this to me? Why would you hurt me like this?" And I remember going, if I'd even thought about you, I wouldn't have done this. I didn't, this wasn't about you. This was just me being a dumb high school kid, and that was not enough, and it never would be, because, of course, they personalize everything. Because, of course, it must have been a slight against that person. On the flip side of this, a narcissist may have rules for you, like I said, that they don't follow for themselves. For example, they may say, you can't cheat on me, but then they may go and cheat on you, for one example. Number 9. Narcissists are not acting any differently to you than they acted to the previous people in their lives. And what I mean is, they don't want you to know that they live in a cycle, and you or anyone else might fall into the cycle. You might live the idealize, devalue, discard, hoover cycle over and over again over the course of decades of a relationship. And at the same time, there may be other people going in that same cycle with the same person, whether they're romantically involved or not. The point is that narcissists all tend to have a lot of things in common, and it's all related to the fact that they are driven by a very fragile ego. And anytime they are emotionally taxed or struggling or anything like that, the ego becomes injured. And when the ego is injured, the narcissist cannot function rationally. It has nothing to do with you. It's the way they're made up. It's the way that they psychologically function with or without you. Number 10, the narcissist does not want you to know that they are shameful. They live with shame every single day. They feel shame for who they are. They feel shame for who they aren't. And I could go on and on about this. Very often this comes from childhood, and it's not really their fault, but they don't do anything to try to heal because that would mean admitting something might be wrong, and they don't like to do that unless it benefits them in some way. Number 11, narcissists don't want you to know that you're simply a source of narcissistic supply. No matter how much they claim that you're their soulmate or best friend or whatever, they don't want you to know it, but the fact is that you're interchangeable. Now, you might be giving the best supply they have, and so they might want to hold on to you, but what it all comes down to is at the very moment that you don't do what they want you to do, they're moving on. And they don't want you to know that they intentionally cause all the drama and the chaos and all the other stuff in your life or their life because they enjoy it. They need the adrenaline rush that comes with it, and that's a whole other video. But what it comes down to is they love the drama. It gives them a supply that they also kind of need, and also it makes them feel better than you and superior to you. And you know how they like that. And number 12, narcissists do not want you to know that they can't handle criticism. When you criticize a narcissist, of course, they'll attack you verbally and they'll try to tear you right down, as you probably know. But the reason they do that is because they can't deal with it. I mean, feedback can be valuable, but to a narcissist, it's like you're insulting them unless you say anything other than, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. I could talk about things narcissists don't want you to know all day long, but instead, I'm going to share with you a playlist right here so that you can see more of these for yourself. The bottom line is toxic people create toxic relationships, and it does take two people to be healthy in a relationship. So think about the person that you're choosing to spend your time with and decide whether they really deserve to be a part of your life. What do you think? This brings me to the question of the day. And the question of the day is, what have been your experiences with narcissists, and what sorts of things were you able to sort of learn about them, or what sorts of things do you think they don't want us to know? Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your experiences in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. As always, thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. Now, before I go, make sure you take a look at the videos I'm leaving for you right here and right here. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue on this healing journey together. I'll see you soon.